Draeme Saekyrs.
Thanks for joining in my little projecting experiment. I hope this finds you on a good day. Thanks for reading. Subscribe for free to receive new posts and support my work. Very beginning. Universe building. Character creating. By Draeme Saekyr. Copyright January 2025. Disclaimer. Forthcoming events depicted are fictional and have no relation to current affairs, people, or situations occurring at this time. Forward. What is universe building? Simple and most obvious answer, it consists of putting together complex backstories of characters into a believable format. Is it just something that someone can do on a whim, or does more go into it than the mere happenstance of sitting at a computer and just typing away? These questions and several more hovered in the back of my mind whenever I read something interesting, such as a book series. Truth be told, I always wondered what the fuss was when creating a fantastical or science fiction-based universe or world. Whether it ranged from tabletop gaming to email role-playing through groups of fanfic writers based on comics or established book series. Now I look back on the author's background and marvel at their patience. When it comes to patience, I lack it when it comes to the most fundamental portions of writing. Now, as I consider everything I've learned, I shake my head in bafflement. It wasn't just writing about characters either. It was all of the mountain of research that went into it. That was just the baseline. There were collaborations with artists, market research, illustrations, and occasionally working with other authors who wanted to join the fun. To this day, there are known authors who are still living and others who have passed away who created masterpieces that are slowly fading into obscurity because their works weren't successfully turned into animated movies or television series. The 40 plus decades I've acquired through living in different cities of California and a few other states, I've read diverse authors and the worlds that they've created through research and based on knowledge possessed in earlier decades. I still read the books and look for ways to acquire books to complete the series I began reading in my youth, though it is becoming more difficult with time. It is true that newer generations read older books and scoff at what they viewed as unique perspectives in earlier eras, 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. There are even earlier books and series that date back to the 18th and 19th centuries, which still flourish today as classics. I find it ironic that people who once hated well-known science fiction fantasy series based in space, not to mention other kinds of science fiction out there, now use devices that are eerily similar to aliens viewed with disbelief. The same could be said of Star Wars and other series, released in the movie in written form around the same time. I'm not mentioning names because I want to avoid copyright infringements and trademark violations. What I've also noticed is that it is really interesting the diversity of advanced technology. Technology, I might add, that has come up close to half a century or nearly a century later after those series were written. Sure, people scoff at the similarities, and yet, if those novels hadn't been written or turned into movies, where would our technology level be now? It kind of makes one wonder how the technology caught up so fast. What's even more ironic is that many of those authors who were persecuted for having too vivid an imagination, and a few more into as crazy. While I haven't been institutionalized, I knew back in my younger years I was viewed as crazy. Why is it that having a vivid imagination is considered dangerous? Well, that is part and parcel of creating universes and worlds that no one else would dare consider. After all, who wants to go against social mores? In answer to that last is people who don't want to stagnate in a society that puts more value on skin color, skewed morals, and oppressing or downright murdering anyone who doesn't follow what they want as a whole. Inherent in those worlds is freedom, choice of free will, and the ability to make choices without being force fed a specific way of living. There is also the responsibility of what happens making choices that need to be faced. It is the latter that no one wants to face or deal with. However, in the world built in the universes created by many authors, there is always accountability made very clear, whether through the heroes and heroines forcing the villains to deal with their crimes. In some cases, the protagonists face up to things they've done in the past that were not even close to heroic in word or deed. There are always going to be conflicts of interest that need resolving to move onward and gain experience. Either that or there will just be mistakes and bad choices repeated to the point of boredom for the readers. Not to mention rising aggravation toward both heroes, heroines, and villains because neither of them ever learned anything useful from past actions and mistakes. By the way, that type of aggravation will come the kiss of death to any series if nothing ever changes. Therefore, in conclusion, alternate worlds of fiction based on logic plus a large dose of fantasy and scientific research were created as a way to entertain readers. Readers who are tired of soap operas, war stories, even though that is almost required to make world creation palatable, and documentaries that explore the negative aspects of populations far isolated. In consideration of the real world time stories of events going on, I'm not saying that those stories aren't important. What I am simply trying to convey is that people need something that brings hope to an increasingly chaotic and unstable society. Currently in the US, we're all caught up in a society that is going from far too complacent status to being upended and not in a good way. As I reread this, I don't even know where I was going with this. Well, other than the undeniable fact that several steps go into universal world building that can't be skipped or ignored just because they're tiresome and boring. Yes, I've had those moments of eye rolling and pulling out hair from fear and frustration. In the end, I think back to all the writing projects that I began and never continued to work on, and they're still in a folder titled Works in Progress that I've backed up in several places. Why did I do that? Very simple answer to that. I've lost other series because of computer crashes, black screens of death, and other problems that I've encountered even as young as the age of 13. Go figure. I just learned the extremely hard way to make backups of everything I've ever written. The one thing I've not done is print out copies of what I've written. That would waste ink and paper since I've created stories and novels that number in the hundreds, if not thousands, pages in one or two cases. Will I ever finish those series? I don't know. Each time I've attempted to do so, something happens. Yeah, excuses. But at the same time, it is also the truth. There have always been friendship without fail that destroys the progress to the point I wasn't able to recover the momentum of whatever I was working on. Hence the folder of unfinished creations. As time passes, I do feel I will eventually finish those series. I just don't know if it will be this year or sometime shortly. Only time will tell. Anyway, thanks for reading this nonsensical piece of writing and ranting that I felt I needed to put out there. It has been on my mind for some time. End of preface. Keep in mind this is just the beginning page. There are over 140 more pages to come if I get that far. While I was going to do an audio recording of this, I will stick to posting sections where actual writing of the characters is done. Thanks for reading this far. Have a great day, and another post will be forthcoming. Obviously, I decided to do an audio recording of this particular page. I hope you enjoy it, and just wondering, should I continue posting sections and recording them? Thank you, and have a wonderful day.